Hello, in today's lecture, I would be presenting safety and risk. I am Atikur Rahman. First of all, I would give you an overview about the safety. Then I would define safety according to Lawrence definition, and then what were the problems with Lawrence definition. Then I would discuss a modified form of Lawrence definition. Then I would discuss about risk. Then what is meant by acceptability of risk, and what factors basically influence the acceptability of risk. One thing is for sure that we always demand safe products and services, uh, but we have to pay for those safety services. As you can see in the previous slide, that a person that is that is working on the pole has more safety equipment than you can say that that street is very unsafe. There are many wires that are messed up, and some of them are bare as well. So you have to pay for safety. And a thing may be safe for one person, but that may not be safe for us other person. This is because of different perception about what is safe or what is not safe. At times, people take a lot of risk because that is acceptable to them, and at times even a bit of risk is difficult to take. So it depends upon the perception of harm or safe for different people. Let's say a power saw in the hand of a child would be safe uh, if it is in the if it is in adult's hand rather than in a child's hand. Similarly, a sick person is more prone to air pollution than a healthy adult person. So absolute safety or entire risk-free activities or products are neither available nor affordable. You cannot be absolutely risk-free or absolutely safer. One has to take into account the that how much he or she can or an organization can pay, and how much safety they can achieve. Now I would define safety. First is William Lawrence definition of safety, that is a thing is safe if its risks are judged to be acceptable. Right? So, if the risks are acceptable, then that thing is considered safe. However, there were quite a few problems while considering this definition by Lawrence. One of the thing is that at times we underestimate the risk involved in a product or a service. Let's suppose if we buy a some electronic device like a toaster from some metro or some other big shopping mall. It looks safe there because there is no risk involved in buying that or while touching it or while handling it. But when you bring that toaster to home and when you have to basically plug into electricity, then there are risks involved in it. One has to be careful while handling that toaster or electronic device then, right? So at first look, it looked risk-free, but there were risks involved in it, and we underestimated the risks that were involved in buying that particular thing. The second thing is at times we overestimate the risk involved in a certain purchase of product or a service, right? Take the example of fluoride. Fluoride could be injurious to health. It may cause teeth problems in young ones and as well as adults. We think that the quantity of fluoride in water is quite risky, but actually not, right? We drink water, and there is very small probability of having a health problem with the quantity of fluoride in it. So we have actually overestimated the risks involved in using fluoride water with fluoride, right? The third thing is that at times we do not consider the safe a thing is safer or harmful, right? While purchasing cars, we do not care whether the car is safe or not, right? The features are nearly at times same, but there are certain features like if a car has airbags or auto door lock, then that would be considered safe as compared to a car that doesn't have airbags or auto control and other safety features. But while purchasing cars, we do not consider it. So these three factors are main hurdle to fully acknowledge the Lawrence definition of safety. So a modified version of Lawrence definition is a thing is safe if its risks were fully known. Those risks would be judged acceptable by reasonable persons in light of their settled value principle. First point in this definition is that risks are fully known, and the second one is the risk involved should be turned acceptable by some authorities, by some reasonable person, by some expert of that field, right? If you are handling some very dangerous equipment, so a regulatory body or some expert person will tell you that you use these equipment while handling such products. So this is a proper definition of safety. And another problem with Lawrence definition was that Lawrence considered safety as a subjective matter. However, safety is an objective matter as well, because the person who needs to be saved has to decide for himself or herself that what are the risks involved and are they acceptable or not. And it is a subjective matter because somebody, some expert or some regulatory body has to decide whether the risk, what are the risks and are they acceptable or not. And safety is often described in terms of degrees and comparison. Products or services or things are considered safer than the other ones. They are compared with the products of similar products, so they are considered relatively safe. I gave you the example that a car with airbags would be relatively safer than the car without airbags. Next is what is risk? Uh, we always want risk-free products or risk to be acceptable. But what is actually risk? A risk is the potential that something unwanted and harmful may occur, right? Uh, Harmful or unwanted occurrence of these things is basically risk. Uh, how less likely they occur, the more the product or the thing is risk-free, and how likely that harmfulness is going to appear is going to make it more risky, right? Risk like harm is a broad concept covering many different types of unwanted occurrences. In different types of occurrences or situations, the risk is different. Say, in case of technology, you basically want the software to be copyrighted, to be not usable by anybody, like by illegally. So illegal using software is a risk for technology. Similarly, there are different risks for economy like inflation or etc. or risk involved in an economy. And while considering engineering, safely handling of products and different equipments is at times problematic, and it could be a risk. So the risks in different fields are different. Many of people think that there are always new risks, but at times the risks have existed for some time, but we think them as new because they are now identifiable, and the public perception of them has changed. There are two reasons. Suppose in Pakistan, previously there were CNG installed cars or wagons that were running on our roads, but now they are not running because that CNG has resulted in many accidents. So it has been banned in public vehicles. CNG kits and CNG vehicles were already available here, but now the public perception has changed and the risks are more identifiable. So at times the risks are not new, but however our perception to them may change. Now, we are talking about that safety is acceptability of risk or something like that. So, we need to define what is acceptability of risk. A risk is acceptable when those affected are generally no longer apprehensive about it. This would be known as acceptability of risk, right? Acceptability of risk depends a lot about how a particular risk is perceived. There are some factors which influence the acceptability of risk. First factor is voluntarism and control. Whether we are accepting a risk voluntarily or involuntarily, and how much we have control over that uh, handling of that risk, right? This is the first factor. Next is how the information about a particular risk is conveyed, right? This results in many different results as we communicate about the risk to somebody. Third one is job related risk, right? Due to financial condition, we have to take some risk as per requirement of our job. And the last one is magnitude and proximity, right? What is the magnitude and proximity of the risk involved, right? First of all, I am going to consider volunteerism and control. On the left side of this slide, I have given two figures. In first figure, suppose John and Ann Smith enjoy riding motorcycles over rough terrain for amusement. They take voluntary risk. Intimately connected with this notion of voluntarism is the matter of control. John and Anne have basically are riding these bicycles on a rough terrain on their own. These trains are not safe enough for let's say public transport or passenger vehicles. So they are taking risk on their own, means they are taking risk voluntarily, right? They consider that this riding is amusement for them, and they take pride in it, right? And the second thing is that they have certain control over what they are doing. They know that road, right? They know when to ride, and suppose if there is a lot of mud, they are not going to ride, right? They have control over what they are doing, and they are taking it voluntarily, right? This is a very different concept. On the other hand, if we have to take some risk involuntarily, then what would happen? Suppose in the second figure, John and Anne live near a chemical plant. They live there because it is affordable to them, right? They cannot pay much, and that shipyard in which John and Anne work, basically, that is very near to this chemical plant. Uh, they are inhaling toxic gases and etc. Air pollution from that chemical plant involuntarily. They don't want it, but they are taking it involuntarily, right? Uh, so somebody tells them that uh, they that air pollution is very hazardous. It could cause problems, health problems. Then they would be apprehensive about it. They would be against it, but they can't help it because they have to live there, right? Thus, in conclusion, I can say that people are much apprehensive about the risk which they take or which they are exposed to involuntarily, rather than on which they are exposed voluntarily. John and Anne, while riding motorcycles, take risk voluntarily, and while working in shipyard, inhaling different air polluted and poisonous gases or things like that, uh, they have to take it involuntarily. So people are apprehensive about taking involuntary risk than a voluntary risk. Next is a very important factor, the effect of information on assessment, risk assessment. The manner in which information about a particular risk is conveyed to the public, engineers, or whosoever greatly matters, right? um, uh, the information, let's say now it is there is a corona pandemic going on. How government and media, social media platforms are conveying information about this pandemic, basically guides people about the risk involved about it. Suppose I have given an example that there is an outbreak in Asia through which by which 600 people may die. There are two alternative programs to handle this, program A and B. If program A is adopted, 200 people will be saved. If program B is adopted, there is 1 by 3 probability that 600 people will be saved, and 2 by 3 probability that no people will be saved. Means 33% chance that in program B, 33% chance that people will be saved, and 66% chances that people will not be saved. When this information was conveyed to public, the researchers found out that 72% people approved program A to program B. So, if the same information is conveyed in this form, if program C is adopted, 400 people will die, and if program D is adopted, there is 33% probability that nobody will die, and 2 by 3 probability that 600 people will die. Program C is similar to program A, and program D is uh, similar to program B. However, people uh, in this case opted for 72% for program D as compared to 22% for program C. Now, the way information was conveyed to the public greatly influenced about their choices. Program A and C were same, B and D were same, but in one way they opted for program A, and in another way they opted for program B. Usually in firms, people prefer those programs or those options which have greater gains than those from which have lesser gains. Similarly, they emphasize upon those options they avoid such options which have uh, more harms than which have lesser harms. Then comes the another important factor, that is job related risk. When engineers or anybody is employed, there are problems of like financial, job security, maybe domestic problems, or any other like that, by which you are bound to do that job. And often jobs require certain risk to be taken by the employees. So one has to do or take that risk because of the job. Uh, some risks are told to the employees, while some are hidden, like toxic substances, dangers, smell, heard, or otherwise sensed. They might be unknown to the employees. So this at times makes risk acceptable to them. The figure that I showed in a slide, that that a person with helmets and gloves and boots was working on a pole. There are many instances, especially in a country like Pakistan, where people without these safety equipments are working on poles. Uh, One of the reason could be they take it voluntarily, but the other reason is because at times organization cannot pay for these safety equipment, so they have to do it while on their own without these safety equipment. So this is a kind of risk that is involved. There are many unions, occupational health and safety regulation to correct such worst situation related to job. Uh, but standards regulation condition in workplace, its air quality are generally still far below less than that regulate conditions in our general public environment. The last factor is magnitude and proximity of risk. Right, our reaction to risk is affected by the dread of possible mishap, both in terms of its magnitude and of the personal identification or relationship we may have with the potential victims. Uh, we pay heed to those risks more where magnitude is greater, right? Suppose in a particular incident, if the casualties are more, we would be more concerned about it. If the casualties or injuries are less, we would be less careful about it, right? This is in terms of magnitude. And the proximity as well matters as well. I have given two figures in this slide on the left side. uh, let's say there is a plane crash in some far off country, and there are a lot of casualties in it. We would be less concerned about it because it's in a far off country, although the magnitude is greater. But suppose there is an incident where far less injuries have happened, but it is very close to our home or in our city, then we would be very much concerned about it, right? So and we are more concerned about a particular risk when someone in our relatives or friends or close one is directly related with those incident or risk. Let's say working in an organization, or if incident happens in the same organization, we are concerned. And if an incident uh, happens in some other company or factory or organization, we are lesser concerned about it. So magnitude and proximity of some event matters a lot. People in Pakistan and other countries considered the coronavirus not that seriously because someone close to them uh, hasn't that. Now, as it has cases have grown, more and more people are concerned because many have their close ones or relatives with coronavirus pandemic. So magnitude and proximity really tells about this. Uh, Conception of safety for engineers. As engineer make products and give services to public, so uh, public has two conceptions of safety. One of them is they are overly optimistic about the things that are familiar, that have not hurt us before, and over which we have some control present now realize. Let's say there is a bare wire in some house, and it hasn't caused any problem, and suppose someday somebody touches that bare wire, and then we start realizing why not we have done a simple thing of insulating that wire, right? So we are not concerned about a risk unless it has hurt us, right? Or we think that we have control over it, right? We do not consider it as a risk. The other thing is there is the dread people feel when an accident kills or injures in large numbers or harms those who we know, even though statistically speaking, such incident might occur infrequently. Uh, we are more concerned by an incident that occurs in our proximity. Let's say uh, there is approximately a single incident of train accident in a year. That is very less probability of a train accident. But the people close to that or people are very much careful, conscious about such an incident, right? So we are conscious about accident at times far more they than actually that should be. So one should be look at the that that risk is probable or not, right? That should be the right word. Hopefully, you understand what I have conveyed about safety and risk and different factors that influence acceptability of risk. Uh, Thank you all of you for your time.